Welcome and welcome back. Let's talk about the Eight of Pentacles today. I adore this card. You know, as a artist, as a fiction writer myself, I kind of like this whole idea of working at my craft and getting better and losing myself just in the practicing, in the doing. That's kind of what I see this guy doing here in this particular card. So let's start with a definition. The Eight of Pentacles is the card of doing the hard work, practicing, of doing your due diligence. And I kind of like to think of it as practice makes perfect. You know, the more you work at something, the better you get. And before I forget, this is part of a series I'm doing where I'm walking through the entire tarot deck, all 78 cards, one card at a time. It was first put together by, drawing a blank here, Esther from Mindful Tarot. And there is a hashtag associated with it, both here on YouTube and on Instagram. It is the Drop'em 78, DROPM 78. And I have that linked down in the description below. And if you don't know, I also have an Instagram account, Tarot for Writing, that goes right along with this YouTube channel where I post a daily picture of the cards and kind of jot down my thoughts, like a more concise version of what I'm sharing with you here. But let's get back to the Eight of Pentacles here. One part of this daily practice is to look for a small little detail, something you maybe haven't noticed before on the card. And it's going to be hard for you to see, but if you look very closely, you see a town in the background, and there is a yellow road that leads up to the town. Trying to hold this still. And that is the detail that I'm focusing in today. Today is actually the first time I've noticed this road in the card. And I thought it was kind of interesting that it gives us this connection to the community. And as a craftsman, as an artist, as an author, you know, it's kind of important to think about how does the work that we do, no matter what it is, whether we're working on ourselves, our mind, our spirituality, or if we're tapping more into the earthly realm of the Pentacles and are working on a skill, are working on a business, are creating some art. I think no matter what we do to do the work and improve and get better and practice, it's kind of important to think about how does this affect those around us? How does it affect our community? And in turn, how does the community and those around us affect us? It's kind of this mutual connection, this kind of relationship that we have with those around us. As a writer, this is a sign for me to remind me of the importance of publishing. You know, you can practice your craft, you can practice your art for a long time, you get better at it, but you get to a point where without the feedback from others and without taking that scary first step to go out and publish and share what's very personal, to share your art and your craft with the work, if you don't do that, you're almost stuck. You kind of need that feedback from other people to learn and get better. And even if there is a way for you to continue to improve and get better without it, you know, taking classes, that kind of thing, you will improve so much faster if you put yourself out there and get that feedback and get some of that criticism. Sometimes people will call you out on stuff that either you can't see, you didn't know that that was something you should maybe work on, or they are things that, at least in my experience, people call me out on something that I kind of knew in the back of my mind that maybe I'm not great at this particular part of the craft, but being called out on brings it into the foreground and by publishing and having other people see it, it kind of forces me to work on those issues that maybe I chose to ignore before. So that's kind of the detail that I focused in on. And now to wrap this up in the discovery portion of this, as you know, if you've watched other videos in this series on my channel here, as an author, I love using the tarot to inspire me to create characters, to tell my stories, and to add another layer of richness and detail to the chapters and scenes that I'm crafting. So again, let me show you the card and I'll share a few details about how I might use this. Let's start with character creation. I love to create spreads, and I'd be happy to share some of them with you when I first create a character or the characters for my stories. So as all of the cards so far in the suit of Pentacles, the first thing that comes to mind is to have a character who works with their hands, who is some sort of, like a blue collar worker type of person. But in this particular instance, because this person is working so diligently and it's almost like they lose themselves in what they are doing here, it makes me think of an artist or an artisan. Maybe this person is amazing at baking bread or creates beautiful quilts, or they are a painter, or they are a wood carver, that kind of thing. It could also be about a person who is still learning their craft, who is still learning their job, somebody in almost like an apprenticeship type of position. Or maybe it is somebody who is going through a period of working long, hard hours. We've all had those times in ourselves where we burnt a candle on both ends and worked long and hard to maybe move up in our career. Maybe we're new in a position and we have to put in a few extra hours to figure out what we're doing to get better at our job, that kind of thing. Maybe this is somebody who is in a period of time where they're very focused on their career. Or maybe it is somebody who is putting in a lot of overtime, who is working in a little too much. And maybe part of the story is that they need to learn to take some time to relax and that there's more to life than work. It could also be somebody who is working on something for the community. That could be an interesting take on a more familiar trope kind of thing. Maybe this is a person who is opening a new shop in town and they're putting in a lot of hard work getting that all set up. And maybe they meet their love interest. As I mentioned before, I'm a romance author, so that is always the kind of story that's first and foremost on my mind. So maybe they meet somebody that helps them in one way or the other opening the shop. Or maybe, we could go back to a story kind of like You've Got Mail, that there's some competition there, somebody who maybe isn't too happy about them opening this new store, that kind of thing. So lots of interesting things and details to dig into and create some wonderful characters. What else? I'm looking at my notes here. Oh, one thing that would be fun for a particular scene is, again, going back to this idea of how much this person seems to be lost in what they're doing. What if we had a character who is working on something that they love to work on, that they're passionate about, and they're focusing so intensely on what they're doing that they're losing all track of time. I know I've done that with my writing and with some other crafts, and I'm sure you have as well. But what if they kind of lost track of time to the point where they're missing an important appointment? Or what if they're missing a date with the person that they're falling in love with? That could kind of put a little damper on the relationship and create some tension there. That would make things interesting. We could also have a character that's maybe a little obsessive, who focuses a little bit too much on the details. This guy here is certainly doing that. And what if we threw him or her in with somebody who is a little bit more fly by the seat of your pants, make it up as you go along kind of person. That could create a very interesting relationship and a lot of tension, a lot of potential misunderstandings, a lot of things that these two people would have to work through because before they could find their happily ever after. So there's a lot to dig into here. One last thing, if I'm pulling this card just to add a little bit more interest to a particular scene, is maybe this person is paying very close attention, you know, kind of the way this guy is very focused and concentrated. And maybe they're picking up on something and sharing or doing something for the other person that surprises them, that the love interest paid this close attention to what they're doing. Or what if one character created a very meaningful, maybe even handmade gift and gave it to the other person? That could add a lot of fun and a lot of interest to a scene, and also be a very important turning point, a way for the love interest to realize just how interested this person is in them and how much they really care. So those are kind of my thoughts on the Eight of Pentacles. I hope you find this interesting and helpful. If you did, please give this video a thumbs up and consider subscribing to the channel. If you have your own ideas and thoughts on the Eight of Pentacles, please leave a comment below. If you're taking part in the challenge, I would love to hear about it and connect with you there. If you use tarot for your writing or any of your art, I would love to connect and hear more from you. And if you are an author, a writer, and you would like me to share a little bit more about the kind of spreads I use or how I use these cards and how I pull them to add more interest to my chapters, I'd be happy to share that as well. So let me know, leave me a comment, and I will see you tomorrow, where we'll explore one of my very favorite tarot cards in the entire deck, in pretty much any deck, but particularly in the traditional Smith-Waite cards, and that is the Nine of Pentacles. I will see you then.